But let's move on to a discussion about ranked play. So it was seemingly delayed until July, much to the woe of fans. But actually, that was just a typo. So good news for us. Bad news for whoever made that tweet or post. Sorry. So ranked play, I'm just going to run down it super quick. Basically, the way it was in closed beta, it was in there for about a month. And a season ladder at the end, just like Hearthstone, at the end of the month, that resets and your progress gets reset. Basically, the way you climb that ladder is there's 5 divisions per tier. When you get to a new tier, it's kind of like a safe bank spot where you can't fall back down tiers. So how do you guys feel about it?
I think a month is a little short, but if you retain your MMR from the previous round and you get some sort of adjustment like you do in Hearthstone, then I think it's okay. I think that allowed some fluctuation in your rank climb. But if you just go back to 0 and then people that were heroic are now fighting people that are just Challenger 5, Challenger 1, and that's terrible.
That would be crazy, yeah.
That'd be terrible.
Yeah, I don't come from a Blizzard background. I've come from kind of Counter-Strike Go, just competitive scene, and like it's such an alien concept to me to have your rank reset every month. Like I'm not really a big fan of that, but I'm excited to see kind of how that plays out once they do introduce it.
Yeah, like the thing that's interesting to me about it is that if you look at seasons from other Blizzard games, that like going farther back, like Diablo, a season would be typically a few months or maybe even a year. So that gives that gives a lot of time for storylines to kind of emerge. This person versus that person. Look at this person rocketing up the ranks. Things like that. This person has the early lead. Can they hold on to it? I feel like a month is just going to be a 0 to 60 sprint scramble the whole time, and then whoever wins at the end is just kind of like, I don't know what they really get out of it, except that when it ended, they happened to be the one on top.
So to that point, one thing I forgot to mention is there are seasonal rewards. So that's like
kind of
some light aesthetic stuff. They're actually still playing around. Maybe they'll have exclusive skins. But if it's anything like Hearthstone, you'll be incentivized to get to a certain point in the ladder because you'll get an exclusive spray, skin, emote, what have you.
It sounds like you just are going to be incentivized to get out of Challenger.
Sure.
Because Challenger is the only one where you can't lose ranking.
That's true.
Yeah.
So once you get out of Challenger, you can start losing divisions, but keep in mind you cannot lose tiers, which I actually am a huge fan of.
Yep.
Because if anything is more demotivating than playing League of Legends and going from silver back to bronze or gold to silver.
Same in CSGO.
Yep.
It's brutal. It's
Yeah.
totally brutal.
No, yeah,
and
there's been times I'm just like, nope, done, and I get off for
So I
weeks.
recognize that I'm conceding a little bit of like my hardcore gamer clout by saying that, but I actually think it's a really good decision.
Yeah, my thing about it, I want to see what kind of rules they enforce for that. Like, I really feel strongly that there should be a two of the same character maximum in that situation, because I think that, I mean, yeah, sure, the game is all about switching, you can stack characters, but I think it's fairly obvious that anything past 2 is basically trolling. It's not necessarily a sound strategy. It's just kind of something that people do because they think it's funny or silly. And like, it's fine to do that in pub games. If people want to have their good time, they want to have their fun, that's fine. When I'm playing for real and it's about ranking, I want only viable, team compositions to be.
I once won against a team of 6 Torbjorns, so yeah, let's not have that in competitive.
I think
Yeah.
they should also limit the in the ranked gameplay the amount of times you can switch characters per round.
Now, I'm curious about why, we talked about this briefly, but I'm curious what your reasoning for that is, because I feel like that's such a core, part of what the game is about, is adapting to what your opponents are doing. Why limit that?
It kind of makes a chess-style layer of rock, paper, scissors. You're like, okay, you got to keep track of this guy. Oh, he was Soldier 76. And then later in the round, he switched to Torbjorn, so he's got one more switch. And then everyone, if they want to change as they go along, you could either start playing, zone defense or player defense. Like, all right, you need to counter whatever this guy changes every time.
It
adds
keeps
some
the
complexity.
long-term strategy there,
Yeah.
I guess.
I think what's interesting about that, too, I'm sorry,
Well, I disagree with all of you. Let
Okay.
it just be known, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and I think that the game shifted to a conventional payment model so that no heroes were locked behind any paywall, so that you could change heroes at any time. That's a core philosophy of the game. And it's an interesting thought, but I could totally see a scenario where, like, okay, I counter you, you counter me, I counter you, you ran out of switches. Haha, sorry, it's a ranked game.
Sure.
I feel like switching heroes is a part of the skill cap in the game, and being proficient with an enormity of heroes is a part of the skill cap, and competitive should test that.
Yeah,
and
I agree with you about that.
Yeah.
Having the knowledge to adapt your strategy on the go.
On the flip side,
There
though,
needs to be a price to be paid.
on Kyle's to Kyle's point, though, like in Street Fighter, for instance, competitively, like the loser of a match has the opportunity to switch characters, right? So like they don't have a hard limit on the number of times they can switch, but they kind of do, because it's once the set ends, they obviously have no opportunity. So the idea is, if in the first place they were outpicked, then they're at a disadvantage. Sure, they can switch characters, but then for the third game,
Sure.
the other person gets the last switch, and then they're stuck with whatever they have. And that's actually kind of interesting because it kind of does incentivize players to at least come out of the gate. If there's a limited number of switches, it makes players have to try to guess what the other team's comp is going to be, and if they guess wrong, they can be punished for it. And that's kind of interesting to me. That's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, I think that should be a problem that is tackled reactively as opposed to preemptively. If there are a 6 Soldier 76 comp that totally is working and people are just frustrated with it, then yeah, maybe they should consider it. But I don't necessarily think it's something they should limit straight away. But anyway, let us move on. See, the best part about being host of a podcast is you always get to have the final word on any given topic.